What if everything you learned at school about the arrival of the smallpox in the Americas was completely wrong? What if the story we always heard, repeated by books, teachers, and documentaries, were just a convenient version, hiding details that could change our vision about the past? Imagine that new scientific discoveries, based on ancient DNA analysis, are revealing that the first contact of this deadly virus with the continent did not happen as we thought. The idea that Europeans were responsible for bringing the smallpox for the first time may be a myth that survived for centuries. Now, genetics laboratories, archaeologists, and historians are gathering pieces of a puzzle that has been lost in time, and what they found is surprising: vestiges of the virus present in human remains long before the caravels crossed the Atlantic. Each DNA fragment recovered from these bones acts as a silent record of an old tragedy, an echo distant from an epidemic that may have plagued whole peoples long before the first contact with the colonizers. Not only does this change the starting point of our narrative, but also raises unsettling questions. How did this virus come here? Would it have come for unknown trade routes, by transoceanic contacts that official history insists on ignoring? Or would it be the result of even more mysterious events that remain buried in the dust of the centuries? This revelation, supported by irrefutable scientific evidence, is forcing experts to rewrite whole chapters in the history of the Americas and humanity. And the more it is investigated, the more layers of mystery arise, making room for new discoveries that can shake certainties maintained by generations. Because the truth now seems much more complex than we have ever imagined, and the answers may be hidden in places that few dared to look for. And that's precisely why we need to talk about it now, while these discoveries are still fresh and can still change the way we see our past. Because it is not just a historical detail, but to understand how diseases have shaped entire civilizations, and especially how incomplete narratives can distort the truth for centuries. Each new evidence found is not just scientific data, it is a piece of a puzzle that belongs to all of us. And understanding this story is to understand who we are today. So I really want to know your opinion. Do you believe this virus could have come to the Americas on the way that traditional history never mentioned? Or do you think there are still other secrets kept under the earth, waiting to be revealed? Write in the comments what you think about it, because your point of view can further enrich this conversation and open new perspectives for everyone who is following. Take the opportunity to leave your like, because it helps too much to spread this type of content to more people who, like you, are thirsty to understand the truth behind the facts. And if you are not subscribed to the channel yet, you subscribe now and activate the notifications, because here you will always find evidence-based stories, but told in a way that the school has never shown you. Thus, you not only participate in this discovery, but it also becomes part of a community that questions, research, and seeks the truth without fear. After all, the more attentive looks we have about these revelations, the closer we will be to rebuild a past that can change everything we thought to know. What if the story you learned at school about the smallpox is wrong? What if, for centuries, we had repeated a convenient version, a simplified plot to explain one of the most tragic chapters in the history of the Americas? From children, we hear that Europeans, when they arrived with their caravels, have not only brought swords, gunpowder, and religion, but also devastating diseases such as smallpox, which decimated whole populations. This narrative became so solid that no one dared to question. But what if I told you that new scientific evidence are about to overthrow this pillar of history? Researchers, armed with cutting-edge technology and advanced genetic studies, began to analyze bones, human remains, and forgotten artifacts under the earth for hundreds of years. What they found challenges common sense: smallpox DNA fragments in skeletons dated long before the arrival of European ships. Imagine the scene. Old books being leafed, navigation maps scattered on wooden tables, caravels cutting the horizon in historical paintings. All of this has always served to reinforce the idea that the disease came from outside, brought by foreigners. But now, in the face of these new evidence, this picture begins to crack, exposing cracks that no one expected to see. If the smallpox was already here before, how in it brought it? How did she cross oceans and jungles without leaving written records? Have there been secret contacts between people that official history insists on ignoring? This revelation is more than an archaeological curiosity. It is a bomb that can change our understanding of commercial routes, migrations, and even the very concept of continental isolation. I really want to know your opinion about it. Write in the comments if you believe in this possibility or if you think there is still something much bigger hidden. And take the opportunity to leave a "I want to know more" in the comments, so I know you are with me in this investigation and bring even more shocking information. Imagine the scene for a moment. In a silent laboratory protected by glass and steel layers, scientists carefully scrape bone fragments that have rested under the earth for hundreds of years. Each removed particle is treated as a treasure because inside it is stored a secret that time tried to erase. It is there, in the microscopic fibers preserved by cold, drought, or soil chemistry, that they find something no one expected. Traces of the smallpox virus embedded in the bone structure of people who lived long before any European ship crosses the ocean. These pieces of DNA are not simple marks. They are like records written in a language that only modern science can decipher. And when we talk about reading old DNA, we are talking about such a thorough and accurate process that makes it impossible to invent or tamper with results. The analysis goes through rigorous filters, each genetic sequence is compared to global databases, and the pattern found in bones is identical to smallpox, but with characteristics that indicate a much older lineage than known to official history. It is as if we are facing a photograph of the past, captured at the most intimate level of life. Now, if this lineage already existed here before, the inevitable question arises tightly. Who brought this mortal disease to the Americas? Would it have been the result of contacts that the story insists on denying it? Secret routes crossing oceans long before Colombo? Or did population movements go out of collective memory? This kind of discovery not only challenges books and theories, but forces humanity to rethink how epidemics shaped integer destinations. What if there were secret ways that linked distant peoples long before any European ship arrived here? Imagine silent trade routes, not by large vessels loaded with flags and armies, but by small, discreet expeditions, crossing seas and rivers, taking with it not only goods, but also invisible microorganisms that would change the fate of entire civilizations. There are researchers who point to pre-Columbian transoceanic contacts, where people from Africa, Asia, or even Polynesia could have touched the American backs in times when official history insists on ignoring. These trips, often motivated by the pursuit of rare foods, precious stones, or even curiosity and exploitation, could have been the canal through which the smallpox crossed oceans and reached territories that we thought was elated. Others suggest that extreme climate change forced massive migrations, approaching cultures and peoples who previously lived separated over vast distances, creating unexpected encounters where diseases, unintentionally, found new hosts. And the most disturbing thing is that some of these connections have not left written records, but subtle traces scattered in bones, tools, and now in DNA. When we look at these theories, we realize that the story told in books is just a part of a much more complex plot, full of omitted passages and forgotten characters. The question is, how many secrets are still buried, waiting to be dug? Did the civilizations that lived here already know somehow this invisible enemy long before Colombo dreams of crossing the Atlantic? Comment here what you think about this possibility. Write "revealed secret" if you believe there are erased contacts from our history and takes the opportunity to leave your like, because it helps spread this content and keep this investigation alive that is still far from over. When a discovery of this level comes up, it is not just a footer detail in a history book. It is a direct blow to what, for centuries, was considered an absolute truth. Confirmation, through ancient DNA, that the smallpox was already circulating in the Americas before the arrival of the Europeans is like pulling a wire that supports a carefully constructed narrative. This requires historians, scientists, and educators to revisit records, reinterpret documents, and, in some cases, admitting that the story that was told may have been shaped to meet specific interests or simply for lack of information. It is uncomfortable because it moves our understanding of the past, but at the same time, it is fascinating, as it shows that human knowledge is always in motion, always subject to new evidence. The story is not a fixed photograph. It is more like a movie that gains new scenes as we advanced in the discoveries. And if this happened to the smallpox, how many other historical certainties are waiting to fall? How many events, characters, and connections have been erased, distorted, or forgotten? This is the most intrigued part, because every bone, every artifact, and each DNA fragment can be the key to opening doors we never imagined. I want you, who are listening to me now, actively participate in this collective investigation. Write in the comments your theory about how this virus may have come to the Americas before the European invasion. And if you can, use the phrase, "The story is not unchanging," for me to know that you have gotten here. Be sure to leave. It helps spread this revelation to more people, and subscribe to the channel to continue following these investigations that challenge everything we have learned. Because in the next video, let's talk about another deadly disease that may have come to the Americas long before what you think.